Day 5 is here. Tell me in the comments who's turning in live, hashtag replay, who is here right now. Let's give a quick recap of the week that we had so far. Day 1 was all about your title. Day 1. How's your title coming along? Got a good title? Day 2 was creating your artwork. You either had something you were working on it, or day 2 was all about creating your artwork. Day 2. Day 3 was going out and getting your audience, your target audience. Who do you want? Who do you think would listen to your talk, your conversations the most? Your audience, finding your audience. Day 3. Day 4, yesterday we talked about introducing your concept, your show concept, introducing yourself to your audience. Day 5, we are going to have the conversation. Day 5. Yeah, that's right. We're here. Last day. Did a quick little recap. Tell me in the comments whether you're watching live, replay. Tell me, give me your takeaways. I have a special surprise guest for you today on this day 5. I put together a little conversation, a little short podcast episode example. I did that, and I have that ready for you in just a moment. But I want to show you in the spirit of just going out and having a conversation, show you these two dudes maybe a year or two ago. Bring it right up here on the screen here and take this full here. I'll show you these radioactive dads, Nathan Kress and Brett Davern. You might recognize them both. One from not an old, really old, but Nickelodeon TV show called iCarly. Freddie, or on Awkward, a little ways back, Brett Davern on Awkward. Those two are friends, buddies. They had these conversations long before they were podcasting, and they decided, hey, let's record this and let's share out information because they're talking about dad stuff. They're young dads. They're talking about dad stuff, and it's just great, refreshing conversations from essentially millennials. And it's just great conversation. So I just wanted to introduce that podcast to you, Radioactive Dads, and also I wanted to do this actually. Just take scroll. There's Nathan in a blue tux. But where is it? I saw it and scrolling down their feed. It was in media. Just a minute. I'll show the image that I was looking for. There's the official image there. Radioactive Dads from produced by Adobe Radio. And this is essentially them talking. They started going in Zoom with the pandemic going on and all, but it didn't stop them. This is them. Go check them out. Radioactive Dads. Great conversations being had there about being a young dad. Now back to day 5 podcast challenge for us, and I'm just gonna introduce my special guest today is a current participant in this challenge. Have a viewer viewing in. Thank you for tuning in today. Lee Tebby, and Lee Tebby is our special guest. So, none further ado, thank you. Lee Tubby is live. He's come back live. We pre-recorded something earlier, and I'm about to show you that right now.
One of my biggest achievements.
Hold on, let me get to. All right, ready to go, and I'll just start playing it and I'll mute myself. And here we go.
One of my biggest achievements was the fear of missing out moment in my life, really. I was fortunate enough to be asked to go and work overseas and I went to work in the Seychelles Islands. Now, I am absolutely petrified of water.
Thank you for coming and joining the conversation with me today, Mr. Lee Tebby. You've been doing phenomenal work in this challenge so far, and can't wait to see what else you create after this Day 5 challenge with having the conversation.
Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, I'm really excited. I've enjoyed the challenge this week. Got to meet some interesting people and pick some tips up along the way. So yeah, excited about and then enthused to get the podcast off the ground and start recording some episodes.
Yeah, I really like your title. What's first of all, what's your biggest takeaway from this challenge?
Really just having the confidence to go out there and do it. I've been procrastinating probably for the best part of 12 months, thinking, okay, when this has happened, I'll do it, or when that's happened, I'll do it, or when I've got this piece of equipment, I'll do it, and when I've got that piece of equipment, I'll do it. So I think this week it's just taught me that actually you don't need to go out and spend an absolute fortune on equipment, and you don't have to wait until you think it's going to be absolutely radio broadcast production ready. You can just actually get there, start making some episodes and getting your name out there, and then refine it and improve and learn as you go, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was kind of, that's the biggest takeaway for me, is actually just stop sitting on the fence and thinking about it, just jump off and do it.
The best time is now, right? Like, if you have this, you have the quality. Like I mentioned in yesterday's Day 4, when all about the intro, and I have some feedback on your trailer that you put in the comments on that Day 4 too. I can get into in a second, but as I mentioned, like it doesn't take much. You have a phone, going like to get audio quality stuff, and you don't have much. You can get a wall separator, I mentioned in the Day 4, or go sit in your closet, and it takes all the audio, excess audio,
Yeah, I had
noise.
never ever considered that. I think that was a great idea, because where I live, I'm on a reasonable main road, so there's traffic going past most of the day, and I live out in the country, so it's agricultural farm vehicles and things like that, so it's quite noisy.
I'm going to see how this works with sharing my screen with this Zoom recording, and then I'll be uploading this later. But find your, it's right here. I'll just have to share it from here. It might be interesting, but so you're seeing the. I have to make sure sound is being shared. Share computer sound, and we're gonna
to another episode of the Making Sense.
And then this is his intro.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Making Sense of IT Pod.
Cut off. Trying to make it bigger.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Making Sense of IT podcast with your host Lee Tebby. And in this week's episode, I'm talking to Gerard Dagnall of Axis First about all things data security. Hello and
So, and I'll stop sharing now. So, I had some thoughts and one initial question for you so far. Is that your teaser for your first episode, your first guest?
Yes.
You have that lined up? Yes. So great. That's a great episode intro. I couldn't have done any better myself. But my one question is, do you have something planned, like for like a 2-minute trailer or something to say, introduce your whole show, not just the one episode, like overall, to give what your audience can expect from the show? Do you have something
absolutely.
like that planned?
So, the plan is to do an actual trailer for the entire series of shows, and then a separate trailer like that for each episode. And then, like you said, in day 4, is actually cut some of the content and use that as a teaser on social media to try and get listeners to the podcast episode. So yeah, it's about using all those different techniques that we discussed yesterday on day 4 and try and incorporate those. But yeah, what that is a trailer for one particular episode, and which will be the pilot episode, if you like, the first one. I'm just going to line up Gerard to be available. He's quite a busy person to then actually record the episode. But yeah, we've discussed it like we're discussing now. We've had this sort of conversation, but actually we want to decide, write the questions down and have some prompts as to where the conversation might go.
Yeah, exactly. My response to when I'm talking to a guest and like I'm busy, like busy's a good thing. It's always it's good that you're busy. Like I acknowledge you for I always say to them and like acknowledge you for staying busy, keeping busy. But question, I want to get into what you're most excited about today. You mentioned on the notes in the form that you filled out about business. What excites you most about just business?
Well, I think with the world events of the last 24 months really has taught us that it's about focusing on the things that are important, helping each other as much as you can. So it's, again, giving value, sharing information, and just helping people to achieve what they're looking to achieve. And I do that in my work, luckily. But it's just really just defined that and brought that to more attention, is actually giving as much value as you can and just looking at as how you can support one another in these challenging times, and learning off of one another and taking some lessons from the pandemic about maybe having to pivot or to play to your strengths, or maybe look at taking a step back from what you do and actually supporting somebody else through their troubled times. And so it's all those things that have helped our business to help our customers' businesses that sort of just resonated with me in the past 24 months.
Yeah, like it. What it's so important to what you know and share. Like what I'm doing, like I'm with the podcasting, and I'm glad to know that it's actually helping you and others. Like just get the confidence to just do the thing and not sit around for a year. Keep on doing that. I'm it's happy to like after I'm hearing what you said there that it's giving you confidence to get going and get started. And when we're talking about giving back, out of the things you mentioned of multi-channel marketing, technology, web and e-commerce, what is one thing that you could turn around after this challenge and maybe create your own challenge and share with your friends and colleagues? What's one thing of those that you could create, turn around, and give back to them?
Yeah, very good question. That's one I've been pondering for a little while, actually, because I've done a lot of these 5-day challenges during the pandemic, and been trying to think of what I would be good at in order to give back. So I've got a couple of ideas, but I haven't settled on one. So at the moment, I'm not 100% sure, because it's trying to pick the thing that I think that other people will get the most value from, because my knowledge is so varied. It's understanding actually what is it that people really want that I can make the most impact with, that would help the most people.
Something that I've heard that mentioned to me what is something that people keep coming to you for at work or family? What do they keep coming to you for, asking you about? How do I do this? What do they keep asking you for? What is
It's
that?
predominantly LinkedIn advice at the moment, and how to use LinkedIn to make sales or grow a following and build a tribe,
That
and understanding that whole mechanism. But there's lots of people that I respect and that have mentored me to get to that point, that make me think that they're actually, their advice has helped me get to where I've got to. So, all I'm going to be doing is diluting what they've already done. So I don't think I would be providing the best value. I would rather promote somebody else who I respect and admire, who's helped me get to where I've got to.
well,
So that's why I haven't picked LinkedIn.
that's diluting maybe, but what if it is you're putting your spin on it, and maybe bringing all those people who supported you in that on as an expert, and that could be value for your, and would you be willing to like help spread this message, and you're going to be putting your spin on it, but bringing them on as an expert and have them continue to help people as well?
Yeah, quite possibly. I hadn't considered that as a. I've just been thinking that what is me? What can I give that's more me than somebody else with a bit of me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, put your spin on it, and then just throw them in as an expert too. Like, don't forget them. Like, and it's also promoting them, and
Yeah, absolutely.
knowing
Yeah, I
it's
hadn't
flattery,
thought of that way of.
highest form of flattery. A couple other things, and keep the nice and sweet and short episode here for this live. Trying to go about 20 minutes. So two more questions, and I usually end with 3 bonuses, but I'll finish with 1 bonus question. What is one of your biggest achievements, and why?
Okay, so one of my biggest achievements was the fear of missing out moment in my life. Really, I was fortunate enough to be asked to go and work overseas, and I went to work in the Seychelles Islands. Now, I am absolutely petrified of water, so I can only swim as far as I can hold my breath, and I don't really like it any deeper than I can stand up. So that's where. So traveling to the Seychelles, which is surrounded by water that's crystal clear and you can see for miles, was quite a proposition for me. But it was a very tempting proposition because it was just absolutely stunningly beautiful. So I just thought that the only way I'm going to enjoy and appreciate this is to actually learn to scuba dive. And my work colleagues were all keen to do it, and I was the only one who couldn't really swim very far. And we were talking to the instructor, and the instructor said, "Well, you're not going to swim; you're going to float, and you're going to sink. So you don't need to be able to swim to scuba dive. You just need to be able to float and follow instructions." So it's like, okay, if you think that's okay, then let's give it a go. And yeah, whilst I was over there for about 6 months working, we did about 30 dives. Actually, the first dive was quite intriguing because as we went off the boat and down, there was a turtle swimming directly towards me, and it literally just went over my shoulder. And I was in awe and absolutely hooked from that point onwards. And we got back on the boat at the end, and the dive instructor said to us, "What did you think of that shipwreck?" And I was like, "What shipwreck?" He said, "Well, when you went down and that turtle swam over your shoulder." Yes. He said, "Well, if you'd turned around, there was a massive shipwreck behind you." And yeah, I hadn't seen it. I'd seen lionfish, I'd seen all sorts of other fish, and coral and everything else. But had I turned round and watched the turtle carry on behind me, I would have seen the shipwreck. But hey, I was absolutely happy with what I'd done. But that was one of my greatest achievements, was to feel that fear and do it anyway. And I'm glad I didn't miss out and stay on shore. because we did night dives and we did shark dives and we did wreck dives and things like that, and it was an amazing experience.
What I just heard you say right there, you had a fear and you pushed through and you enjoy after the fact. It was the fear was gone. So that's with me. I kind of with this like I was other people like I had the same thing when it comes to like doing all this video stuff and going live. As I'm doing this, like I'm having more and more fun just with this doing this one challenge the way I'm doing this right now. Like I was totally in energy yesterday, and
Yeah,
it gets easier as it goes.
Through. Yeah, it came through the camera.
It
did
gets easier.
transcend through us to the audience. As I was watching, I could see that confidence and enjoyment in your face.
The more you
voice.
do something, you may be afraid and deathly afraid of it first. The more you do it, the easier it gets. And I acknowledge you for pushing through your fear with the water, swimming in the water, and you enjoyed that after you started to experience it. And I acknowledge you for stepping into this challenge and getting confidence. And I can't wait to see what you're doing. And let me know. I can't wait to hear about any challenges. Invite me into that when you get into. I want to see what you do with that too.
Absolutely, we'll do.
I'd like to a bonus question that you have not seen yet. But first, where do you like to hang out the most online? Where can people, the listeners and watchers here?
Yeah, I think probably LinkedIn is probably where I spend a lot of my time. So there's a lot of information that I put out there and that I share about the IT industry and things that are happening. So my LinkedIn page is probably where you'll find a lot of my things. And then you'll also find me on Clubhouse and Instagram beyond that. But the primary place to find me is LinkedIn.
It's linkedin.com/in/Lee Tebby. Great stuff. Instagram as well, and obviously Facebook and Twitter too. And yeah, and you have a website I see. Is that your website, Axis?
Yeah, axistechnology.co.uk. And that talks about cloud computing and IT support and cybersecurity and telephony and those sorts of things. So anything technology related for a small business.
That actually is a lot of stuff. I want to learn a lot more about cloud technology, so that's something actually I myself would be interested in learning as well.
There you go. Maybe that's a challenge in there, and start building things around IT understanding or something like that, and talking about different technologies.
Let's see which bonus question I like the industry. I'm not gonna go with the film industry here. I like to ask this as my final question, and it's taken into like mine is a filmmaking podcast, and it's like you're writing a script writing and you're writing a story. What is part of it is envisioning your life in the future, and you get into there in your life from now to that point. But what would be, or what is like seeing the future and working your way back, reverse engineering? What is your perfect ending to your story? Where are you? Who are you hanging out with? Like what's everything be as detailed as you want, and perfect ending to your story.
I've always seen myself as becoming just a go-to person. So, I've always felt that my purpose is to serve and to share my experiences with others. So I've always seen myself as being, probably one of the speakers on a scene somewhere. Just giving like TED Talks or inspirational talks to people and just giving back. So that's where I've always seen the end is doing something that I love and sharing that those journeys and inspiring others to take their steps on that journey as well.
Great. Again, I acknowledge you and I see you up on that TED stage, the TED Talk. I see you talking about your cloud technology, and I'll be listening and tuning into that. I'll be following you.
Yeah, I've just been hooked on technology since a kid. From that
Me
very
too.
first piece of technology that I was given, right the way through my school life and into my adult life.
That's kind of
Technology
where
just fascinates me.
That's kind of where all this came from with me. Like I at a young age, before I could talk, and I was shy, and I was like the 10-year-old self of myself would like tremble in his shoes if he sees what I'm doing now, talking and podcasting and meeting people. And but I was, before I could talk, I was helping people. Like I was working the VCRs, answering machines,
Right.
sounds. I couldn't talk and say words, but I was putting sounds on the answering machine and everything.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah.
But I was
Yeah, and I think it is that if it's something you're passionate about, or it really interests you, you've got that enthusiasm and drive to pursue it. And no, absolutely, it's very much I'm very much an advocate of that. So yeah, no, if that's been your thing, has been, you know, making noise and making film and you know, recording, then yeah, it's great that you're like you say, if you go back to your 10-year-old self and could reassure that insecure and shy introverted person that actually one day you're going to be putting yourself out there on film and on screen and talking to tens, hundreds, thousands of people. Yeah, I'm sure that 10-year-old wouldn't believe you at the time, but would certainly be inspired that if you say he can do it, then he can do it.
Well, this is great, and I can't wait to see what you're doing, and I look forward to your challenge and see what I can learn from you in the future. And
thank you, Thomas. I've really enjoyed the challenge this week. Got a lot from it. Met some really great people, and yeah, we'll certainly be on your radar and keeping in touch. So thank you very much indeed. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Come off mute here. So that was my conversation we had earlier today with Lee Tebby, and had that in the morning before. Scheduled that quick little interview conversation, and that's what it is about. That's what today is about, finding that one conversation that you can have. And I recorded that. We just got in Zoom, press record, and we're off. And I have a questionnaire that I like to have guests fill out so I can know where to start, and I can ask things about them, and I knew exactly what made him like what right away passionate about what I can actually ask him, and he'd give a nice passionate answer and whatever. And but thank you for like that's what it is. Go out, and it's the challenge for you to do that again. Get your title, artwork, get everything, all these ready, all these things that came before today, and get your title, artwork, find your audience, have your intro and stuff ready. Then when you come to record, you just put everything together in your editing program, or if you use the anchor.fm, which is fairly easy, you just upload and you can assemble all your intros right there. There's other ways to go. Anchor is the best way. Next up, I'm going to be doing a workshop of how exactly I set up my show when I upload, when I set it up, I got my RSS feed out to all the platforms. It's a workshop on how exactly I do all that and get my shows out to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, iHeartRadio. What else is there? There's I'm missing a few. I'm sure maybe one or two, but like that's coming following this. But this challenge was all about getting it started, the fundamental stuff. And day 5 is all about recording conversation. Remember all the tips, especially from yesterday. We mentioned one thing that was really valuable to me. I keep looking at the closet, but because I was going in there when I was starting to record, when I learned this a month or two ago, when I was in a clubhouse room. Actually, I was talking with it was a audio testing room and everything, and that was one of the suggestions made to us in the room. But you don't have much, go and walk yourself into a closet with your phone, open up your memo record app, your recording voice app, press record, and pretty much takes all the audio extra noise away, and minimal editing is required after that. I just want to again show you. I showed the one, but remind you, Radioactive Dads. If you want a example of a fresh, great conversation, it's just a great conversation with two millennials talking about being a dad. And if you feel stuck, if you feel you want to listen to a New York Times bestselling author and New York Times, if I can talk right, New York Times bestselling author podcast. He's just celebrating 9 years of podcasting. He's well over into his 1100 series of episodes and everything. Talks a lot of things about health, recreation, business, finances, wealth, all that, relationships. He's big on relationships. He's actually on another LinkedIn. He got started doing his thing on LinkedIn as well, so he knows a bunch about LinkedIn too. Lewis Howes and the School of Greatness. He has the keyword buzzword. That's how I essentially found him right there on Ellen. But his buzzword is greatness. That's go out there and find that person you want to have that conversation with. Leave it here. I'll keep the stream open for any questions. If you wanna come on and talk, or if you're welcome to leave comments as well. Question Q&A. I'll keep this open for a little bit for Q&A and everything. I just remind you, commenting live, your comments show up on the screen. Please click the link in the group post to allow permissions for StreamYard to see your name. And then that allows me to display your comments right here for everyone to see. And they don't have to go digging down deep in the comments. Keep this open for a little bit, and I will just chat and leave it at that. And don't want to do it too long because you have a conversation to have, and I don't want to keep this. We had that nice episode, Lee and I talking. That was mainly set as an example episode, and I'll have these uploaded to my YouTube, and I'll put all these up on my podcast platform as well after this completion and everything. But thank you for all participating in the challenge. It was inspiring to see how everyone has gained confidence and taken just what the comments Lee mentioned from all the comments. Thanks for participating and recognizing that the value that you're getting from this, and leave you with that. To be interesting as you go into conversations, your conversations for this day 5 challenge, to be interesting, you got to be interested. And I will leave it there.